down.
Now what?
I have no idea. Oh my God. I can't do it.
You got this.
Yeah!
See, told you could do it.
I'm gonna. I am the best. Say something.
Oh, I'm so scared.
Focus on the task that's right in front of you for your marriage.
Now what?
Come down about, what, 30? Last night, I found out that you've been taking loans. That's something that being married, you're supposed to talk to me about.
I like the concept of marriage. I just want not just tight leash.
Now he's saying, I don't believe in marriage. Maybe I should move back
I'm
home.
not asking for complete freedom. I just want not just tight leash.
That's hurtful.
I don't know, like for me, I don't like the concept of marriage.
That makes no sense.
Sumit spent years convincing Jenny that marriage was worth fighting for. Then, the moment Jenny expected him to behave like a husband, he suddenly said he did not believe in marriage. That is not just a careless comment made during an argument. It completely changes how we should look at their relationship. Jenny had just discovered that Sumit secretly borrowed up to $20,000. This was not a small personal purchase or a forgotten bill. This was serious debt connected to their home, his parents, and their financial future. Jenny wanted one simple answer. Why did her husband make that decision without telling her? But Sumit did not really answer that question. Instead, he talked about feeling controlled. He said Jenny used marriage to guilt him. He described their relationship like a tight leash that was limiting his freedom. And that is where the story becomes much bigger than money. Was Sumit finally admitting that he regrets becoming Jenny's husband? Or did he attack marriage because defending the secret loans was impossible? Because Jenny has heard late confessions from Sumit before. Their relationship started with a false identity. She later discovered another marriage. She spent years waiting for him to challenge his family and publicly choose her. Now, after all that history, she learns that another life-changing decision happened behind her back. However, this is not a simple story about one dishonest husband and one innocent wife. Sumit appears genuinely torn between his parents and his marriage. Jenny also carries years of frustration into every new disagreement. But one problem keeps repeating. Sumit avoids uncomfortable conversations until the truth becomes impossible to hide. Then, when Jenny reacts, he focuses on the size of her reaction instead of the secret that caused it. So the real question is not whether Jenny can forgive him again. The real question is whether forgiveness has accidentally taught Sumit that he never has to change. The episode first showed Jenny and Sumit participating in a climbing exercise. On the surface, it looked like another relationship challenge designed for television. But that activity accidentally revealed the entire problem inside their marriage. Sumit was hanging above the ground and needed Jenny to guide him. Jenny became overwhelmed. She was frightened, confused, and temporarily unable to give him clear directions. Sumit kept asking her to communicate. He needed information from the one person who could see what he could not. Eventually, Jenny controlled her fear and started guiding him. Sumit listened. They worked together, completed the challenge, and celebrated the result. For a brief moment, they looked like a functioning team. But then came the painful irony. During the climbing exercise, Sumit demanded communication because his safety depended on it. Later, Jenny demanded communication because their financial safety depended on it. Suddenly, Sumit viewed communication as control. That contrast says everything. Sumit understands the value of shared information when he is the vulnerable person. He becomes uncomfortable with shared information when Jenny would gain influence over his decisions. That does not necessarily mean he planned to manipulate her. However, it does reveal an unequal standard. When Sumit needs Jenny's guidance, communication becomes teamwork. When Jenny needs financial transparency, communication becomes a tight leash. The loan itself is obviously serious. According to what Sumit revealed, the amount may be between $15,000 and $20,000. He said the money became necessary after his parents stopped contributing toward the rent. Jenny had apparently believed that living with his family would reduce their financial pressure. That living arrangement already required her to sacrifice privacy and independence. She did not want to return to a crowded family home. She accepted it because she believed it would create financial stability. Instead, the arrangement helped produce a new financial crisis. And Jenny did not even know that crisis existed. That is why the betrayal is larger than the number written on the loan paperwork. Jenny lost the ability to participate in a decision that could shape several years of her life. Debt can determine where a couple lives. It can delay moving plans. It can reduce monthly spending. It can create dependence on family members. It can also make leaving an uncomfortable household financially impossible. Jenny was not only denied information about money, she was denied information about her own options. By the time she discovered what happened, Sumit was not asking for her opinion. He was asking for her acceptance. That is a major difference. A disagreement happens when two people know the facts and choose different solutions. Powerlessness happens when one person acts alone, then reveals the consequences afterward. Jenny was not given a chance to say yes. She was not given a chance to say no. She was not even given a chance to suggest another solution. The decision had already become part of their shared life. Yet Sumit seemed to view the loans as his personal responsibility. His argument appeared to be that he borrowed the money, so the decision belonged to him. But that logic only works when the consequences also remain personal. If the debt affects their housing, marriage, budget, and future, it cannot remain one person's private issue. Sumit wanted individual control over the choice. At the same time, he expected Jenny to live with the result. That is not complete independence. That is private authority combined with shared consequences. And when Jenny objected, Sumit changed the subject from secrecy to control. This is an important pattern during relationship conflicts. Someone gets confronted about a specific action. Instead of explaining the action, they attack the other person's reaction. Suddenly, the conversation is no longer about the hidden loan. It is about Jenny's tone. It is about her expectations. It is about whether marriage gives her too much influence. This does not mean Sumit has no legitimate concerns about Jenny. He may genuinely feel controlled in other areas of their relationship. But raising that complaint while being confronted about secret debt makes it look defensive. He did not say, "I understand why this hurt you, and we should discuss my feelings afterward." He questioned the entire structure of their marriage. That made Jenny's concern appear unreasonable when it was actually very basic. Most people expect their spouse to disclose major debt. That expectation is not automatically controlling. Control would be Jenny demanding permission over harmless personal decisions. Control would be deciding who Sumit can speak with or what small purchases he can make. Accountability is different. Accountability means major decisions with shared consequences require a shared conversation. Jenny was not angry because Sumit ordered an expensive dinner. She was angry because he secretly created an obligation that could shape their future. Those two things should not be treated as equal. Still, Sumit's emotional position deserves a fair analysis. He has spent years caught between two loyalties. Jenny expects him to protect their marriage. His parents expect him to remain a responsible son. Both sides may believe that choosing them proves love. That places Sumit inside a situation where every decision disappoints somebody. When he prioritizes Jenny, his parents may feel rejected. When he supports his parents, Jenny may feel abandoned. When he delays choosing, everybody eventually becomes angry. That kind of pressure can make avoidance feel easier than honesty. Sumit may not hide information because he enjoys deceiving Jenny. He may hide information because truth forces him into decisions he feels unable to make. If he had told Jenny about the rent problem immediately, she might have demanded a different housing plan. She might have opposed borrowing money. She might have asked him to set firm limits with his parents. Sumit would then have needed to tell someone no. And saying no appears to be one of his biggest emotional difficulties. So instead of making a clear choice, he borrowed time. Unfortunately, he borrowed actual money as well. Secrecy allowed him to avoid the conflict temporarily. His parents received financial help. Jenny remained unaware of the problem. Sumit did not have to defend either decision. But avoidance never removes conflict. It only allows the conflict to grow without supervision. By the time Jenny learned about the loans, she was not reacting to a proposal. She was reacting to a completed betrayal. That delay made an already difficult conversation far more explosive. And this is where their history becomes essential. If this were the first major secret in their relationship, Jenny might respond differently. But their relationship began with Sumit using another identity online. Jenny later learned he was already in an arranged marriage. They spent years dealing with half-truths, delayed information, and complicated family promises. Even after they finally married, the questions never completely disappeared. Where would they live? Would Sumit become independent? Would his parents accept Jenny? Would family approval always control their future? Would Sumit speak honestly before a crisis? The secret debt does not feel new because the behavior underneath it is familiar. Jenny has repeatedly discovered important truths after Sumit has already shaped the situation. That history changes the emotional meaning of every new secret. Sumit may see one current mistake. Jenny sees confirmation that the entire pattern remains alive. She is not only hearing, "I took out loans." She is hearing, "You still do not get the truth until I am ready." That explains why her reaction carries anger from the past. It also explains why Sumit may feel unfairly judged. From his perspective, he may believe Jenny uses every new conflict to retry every previous case against him. He may think he is being punished again for mistakes that were already forgiven. But forgiveness does not erase patterns. When the same behavior returns, the old incidents become relevant again. Imagine someone repeatedly promising that the next truth will arrive on time. Then another serious truth arrives late. At that point, the issue is no longer one mistake. The issue is whether the promise of change has any meaning. Jenny has forgiven Sumit many times. However, their marriage does not appear to have created a strong system that prevents the behavior from returning. They reconcile emotionally. They express love. They survive the immediate crisis. Then daily life resumes without clear boundaries. That is why another crisis eventually appears. Their problem is not a lack of emotional commitment. Their problem is a lack of practical structure. They need rules concerning money. They need clear limits concerning financial support for his parents. They need agreement about which decisions require both partners. They need access to the same information. They also need consequences when those agreements are broken. Without that structure, love keeps becoming emergency repair. The relationship breaks. They use emotion to reconnect. Then they rebuild the same system that produced the damage. Some viewers strongly believe Sumit is simply avoiding accountability. A section of the audience says no reasonable person would describe financial transparency as a tight leash. They believe he used the language of control because the facts were against him. Jenny asked why he hid major debt. Sumit answered by questioning marriage. To those viewers, that looks like deflection. Many viewers also notice the contrast between the climbing challenge and the later argument. During the challenge, Jenny and Sumit succeeded because both had access to the same goal. They knew the danger. They understood the task. They communicated until they reached safety. Their real marriage does not operate that way. Sumit often sees the danger first, responds privately, and informs Jenny afterward. That means Jenny is always reacting to decisions rather than helping create them. Other viewers feel more sympathy for Sumit. They believe Jenny sometimes treats every family issue as a loyalty test. She has sacrificed a great deal for the relationship, and she knows it. Those sacrifices can become emotional evidence during every disagreement. Jenny left her established life. She moved to India. She faced rejection from his family. She waited years for marriage. She accepted living conditions she did not want. It is understandable that she expects those sacrifices to matter. But Sumit may experience that history as a permanent debt he can never repay. No matter what he does, Jenny can point toward everything she gave up. That may leave him feeling like he has no independent emotional space inside the marriage. His desire for autonomy is not automatically selfish. The problem is how he seeks that autonomy. Healthy independence requires honest boundaries. It does not require secret financial decisions. Sumit could tell Jenny that he needs some freedom over personal choices. He could explain that helping his parents is emotionally non-negotiable. He could ask for an agreed amount they can contribute each month. He could discuss what happens during a family emergency. Instead, he appears to make decisions privately and demand understanding afterward. That is not a boundary. That is avoidance. Jenny also has a weakness in this cycle. She sometimes appears to treat choosing the marriage and choosing his parents as opposite actions. Sumit may not see them that way. From his perspective, supporting his parents may be part of being a responsible adult. It may not mean he loves Jenny less. Jenny may intellectually understand that. Emotionally, however, his family represents years of rejection. Every time Sumit places their needs first, Jenny may relive the feeling that she is still outside the family. That makes practical disagreements emotionally loaded. A question about rent becomes a question about loyalty. A question about moving becomes a question about love. A financial boundary becomes proof that Sumit has chosen one woman over another. This is why their arguments rarely stay focused. The money is never only money. The parents are never only parents. The house is never only a house. Everything connects to the original struggle for acceptance. Jenny spent years waiting to become Sumit's recognized partner. Now she expects that position to give her equal influence. Sumit hears that expectation and sometimes experiences it as pressure. Their definitions of marriage may be fundamentally different. Jenny appears to view marriage as shared decision-making. Sumit may view marriage as emotional commitment with room for separate responsibilities. That difference might have been manageable if they had discussed it openly. Instead, it appeared during a confrontation about hidden debt. That is what made his comment so hurtful. Jenny fought for the marriage because she believed it would create security. Sumit now talks as though the same marriage has reduced his freedom. For Jenny, marriage was the finish line. For Sumit, marriage may have started a new set of expectations he never fully accepted. That does not prove he regrets loving Jenny. It may mean he underestimated what partnership would require. There is also a serious power imbalance, but it is not the obvious one. People may look at their age difference and assume Jenny holds more authority. In reality, Sumit controls much of the information that organizes their life. He understands the local language, culture, family conversations, finances, and practical systems. He often knows what his parents are thinking before Jenny hears anything. Jenny has emotional influence. She can remind Sumit of her sacrifices. She can pressure him with the history of their relationship. But Sumit has informational influence. He can decide what she learns and when she learns it. Informational power can be more dangerous because it shapes every available choice. Jenny cannot make a fair decision using incomplete facts. She cannot truly consent to living with his parents without knowing the financial situation. She cannot plan independence without knowing the debt. She cannot judge whether they can afford something without knowing the payments. When information is hidden, one partner controls reality for both people. That is why Sumit's accusation of control creates such a strange contradiction. Jenny may sound more forceful during arguments, but Sumit quietly holds the information that gives those arguments meaning. The louder person is not always the more powerful person. Sometimes the person withholding the facts has far more control. This is also why another apology may not help. Jenny has heard emotional promises before. What she needs now is evidence. She needs to know the exact amount borrowed. She needs to understand the monthly payments and interest. She needs to know whether other debts exist. She needs clarity about what his parents were expected to contribute. She needs to understand whether the cafe remains a financial burden. She needs a realistic plan for leaving the family home. Most importantly, she needs proof that future decisions will be discussed beforehand. Sumit also needs something concrete. He needs a way to support his parents without feeling that every contribution threatens his marriage. He needs agreed boundaries rather than emotional arguments. He needs Jenny to accept that independence does not mean abandoning his family. He also needs permission to express frustration without using secrecy as protection. However, that conversation must happen after complete disclosure. Sumit cannot ask for empathy while Jenny is still discovering the damage. He wants her to understand why he made the choice. Jenny first needs him to understand what the choice did to her. This difference between intention and impact may control their next conflict. Sumit will probably emphasize intention. He may argue that he was trying to protect his family. He may say the debt was his responsibility. He may insist that he never wanted Jenny to suffer. Jenny will focus on impact. She will say his intentions did not give her a choice. They did not create security. They did not protect their shared future. They did not remove the dishonesty. Both may believe they are discussing the same problem. They are actually defending different sides of it. Until Sumit addresses the impact, Jenny will not care about his intention. Until Jenny recognizes the pressure behind his choice, Sumit will feel completely misunderstood. That does not make both positions equally correct. Hiding the debt was still his decision. But understanding the cycle matters because blame alone will not prevent the next secret. The question now is whether Jenny has a real boundary. She has reached breaking points before. She has threatened to leave. She has said she cannot tolerate more dishonesty. Then they reconcile, and the relationship continues. There is nothing wrong with choosing forgiveness. But forgiveness, without changed behavior, can become permission. If Sumit believes every secret causes an argument but never changes the relationship, secrecy remains emotionally affordable. He suffers during the confrontation. He apologizes. They reconnect. Life moves forward. The consequences are painful but temporary. That is why Jenny must decide what